it's a lot more volatile, right?
Right.
Real estate is going to be a lot more stable asset, and which I like, right? It still goes up over time. The huge difference is it's a tangible asset, right? I like real estate because it's a tangible asset. It's stable, it's tangible. I can touch it, I can feel it, I can see it. They're not, you can, in our case with short-term rentals, I can use them. Right. And so those are, I like that aspect of real estate, and I like the leverageability of real estate as well. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore. We're back with a Whiskey Wednesday episode with Mr. Dave Civilich. What's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
We were a little more intentional with that because last time we missed.
I know. It was a little embarrassing, actually. So we had to go back and do a redo.
Yeah.
We didn't edit it out, though.
No,
I mean, we roll with it.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
When we do things, we're real.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
hey, before we start, I gotta give a shout out to our amazing members, Jordan and Lexi Ostlund. They're the official sponsors of today's Whiskey Wednesday, and they sent us a bottle of the Wyoming whiskey, bottled, he said, in God's country, up in the mountains in Wyoming. So super excited about that one. Jordan, Lexi, thank you so much for the bottle of whiskey, and we are going to enjoy it at the end of this episode.
Heck yeah, whole bottle. We'll pound that whole thing.
Bottle. No, we'll save it.
It's only Wednesday, Friday maybe. Wednesday.
All right. Well, maybe we finish it off Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got today?
All right. We got a couple questions for you. Inquiring minds want to know a little bit more about Shawn Moore, so we're gonna dive in a little bit into there. We're going to talk about stocks, technologies, and property reviews. And then we got a question that was emailed in through our support channel through one of our podcast listeners. So we appreciate that. So we'll get to that question. So want to dive right in?
Let's dive in.
Okay.
Before we dive in, let's remind them, any of you guys listening, if you're new to the episode, you always have that opportunity to send us in questions to support@vodacy.com, and we'll make sure we answer those questions on an upcoming episode. These episodes are kind of short, sweet, to the point episodes of topics that are going on, and the main point is the questions that you guys send in so we can get them answered. So you can always send those questions in to support@vodacy.com. So
hey, by the way, for those of you who are just listening and not viewing, Shawn's got this sweet hat. I got a
little Vodacy swag. I put the old
matches with your shirt.
I put the cowboy hat aside.
It's Thanksgiving, and you freaking dress appropriately. I like it.
I had the flannel shirt on. I mean, it was 15 degrees outside when I left my house this morning. I pulled out the flannel, and I actually have my felt hat. But I got in the office, and we have all of our different colored Vodacy hats. I'm like, hey, I'm going to put on the orange one today.
You look good.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So let's ask you a couple questions for you. Okay. I know you have a couple dogs. If you bought a new dog tomorrow, what would you name it?
No, I wouldn't do that ever again. Not buying another dog.
If you bought another dog tomorrow, what would you name it?
So I always keep trying to call my dogs Whiskey. As much as I want to have a dog named Whiskey, but Teresa and Wyatt and Grace, they'll never allow me to have a dog named Whiskey because they're
so that's it.
Huh?
I didn't. Yeah, this is like just you. You're gonna have an office dog.
If I had an office dog,
you're gonna name it Whiskey.
You would think I'm a raging alcoholic. I actually just have like I probably drink one little bottle, or I love whiskey, but I don't drink that much. I just like it. But I like the name Whiskey. I'd like to have a dog named Whiskey.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. What about you? What's your favorite dog name?
Man, I haven't even thought about it. I don't know.
You don't think about it? You ask me the questions and you don't think on your side?
Not this one. I didn't think about this.
Okay, you should have thought about it.
I should have. This was only for you. It didn't say Shawn and Dave question.
Okay.
This was just Shawn.
All right, keep
you
going.
can ask me some of the other ones, but to be a dog, I haven't even thought about it.
All right. Well, you better think about it. You got to have a cool dog name,
Sport.
that would be a good dog name for you. Sport.
All right. Second question. What were you going to name Wyatt and Grace before you named them Wyatt and Grace? Did you have a name for each of them? Do you remember?
No, we were always going to name Grace. It's funny, when Teresa and I were 15 years old, we started dating, and we were young, in high school, we loved the name Grace.
Yeah,
and
so we were always going to name Grace. Yeah.
She was going to be named Grace. Yeah, and Wyatt was.
He wasn't going to be named Whiskey, was he?
He was never going to be named Whiskey, and so I wasn't going to run down that road. Dog's fine, because, you can have a dog named Whiskey, not, I guess there's maybe guys out there named Whiskey. Yeah. And so Wyatt was a hard one. We didn't really have a name to pick that we liked or we thought about for Wyatt. And you know how when you're going through kids' names and you're just going through a whole bunch of them, you're thinking about them, and then one of them hits, you're like, I like that one. And you both like it, right? Yeah. It's not like, and so like we were kind of going through the names. I don't even remember what they were, just kind of going through names, and Wyatt came up, and both of us were like, yeah, we like Wyatt. So
nice.
Stuff.
I like it. Good. What's one thing you bought that you were like, what an idiot. That was the dumbest purchase.
A dog. The last dog I bought.
Yeah.
That was a dumb purchase.
No.
It's a house dog.
That like dog is
like
awesome.
A designer type dog. I'm not a designer dog
that
guy.
dog is
I just
so
like
cool.
the classics, like dogs that you can like,
yeah,
you know, they can go hunting with you. They can go up in the mountains with you. And we get this designer Bernedoodle, and that was a dumb purchase. I like the kids. Teresa love him, and you love him.
Oh,
like
I think
everybody,
he's awesome.
everybody.
But that was the purchase.
That was the purchase. I'm like, and I still regret it.
I do have one for this.
Okay, let's
so
hear
if
it.
you were to ask me what this was, when I was in high school, my dad and I were on a trip. We were in Seattle, and I like for a weekend deal. Anyways, we were shopping and eating downtown and whatever. And I talked him into buying me a duster. One of those long cowboy coats.
Yeah.
They'd go all the way to your ankles.
Yeah.
They have the little big loop on the inside for your legs.
Yeah. And slid up the back so you can sit on your horse.
Totally. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so, I'm not even a cowboy, you know? And I talked him into buying that. I remember to this day it was $200. And that back then.
Canvas ones? Was it the canvas ones?
It was
kind of a.
No, it was like part canvas, part leather, a little two-tone, kind of grayish, dark and light gray. And I remember wearing it to the high school football game and thinking I was so cool. And then when I left, I'm thinking that was the dumbest thing. I only wore it one time, but that was a purchase that I can still remember to this day.
See, that's one of my best purchases. I love that.
I love it.
That's one of my best purchases.
I was the only guy in a whole school with a duster on.
Yeah.
Really, everybody else is there, Letterman jacket and stuff, and I'm like wearing a duster.
Yeah,
you know?
rode up on your horse. You should. If you rode up on a horse, it wouldn't have been that.
What a fool!
It would have looked awesome.
$200 down the drain.
There you go. Like it.
All right. Okay, let's jump into some stocks, technology, and reviews.
All right,
okay?
let's do it.
As we know, Bitcoin, Tesla. A lot of stocks going through the roof right now, especially Bitcoin. I'm not even really sure what Bitcoin is, but it's, I know a little bit about it.
I think it's like $90,000 right now.
Yeah, it's going crazy, right? So an interesting question would be, why do we want, or why would we suggest people to invest in real estate, short-term rentals versus a stock, Bitcoin, Tesla, some of these other things? Like why, and this is like, the eye of the beholder. You're the one that's, your view of it, but why short-term rentals versus stocks?
Well, for me, a couple reasons. One, they're all great investments, and it's good as an investor to have options, right? And the draw of like a Bitcoin or some of the things that are like on the forefront of technology and the new, kind of the new world, right? With the digital currency and everything else, but they're very volatile, right? They can go up really fast. They can go down really fast. They move around a lot, and over the long term, they've done amazing, right? Yeah. If you really look back, but there's a lot of times where if you would have asked us, 3 or 6 months ago when it was tanking, and they were like, "Holy crap, you got to sell Bitcoin. What's going on? It's crashing. It's not going to be a good run for Bitcoin." Like it kind of depends on the environment for those more volatile stocks, and those conversations happen on a regular basis, like monthly. It feels like, and again. Those of you that are listening, they're more educated on Bitcoin than I am. I apologize if my timing is not up, but the end of the day, it's a lot more volatile, right? Real estate is going to be a lot more stable asset, and which I like, right? It still goes up over time. The huge difference is it's a tangible asset, right? I like real estate because it's a tangible asset. It's stable, it's tangible. I can touch it, I can feel it, I can see it. They're not, you can, in our case with short-term rentals, I can use them. And so those are, I like that aspect of real estate, and I like the leverageability of real estate as well. And where Bitcoin might be going up at a faster clip, real estate goes up at a slower clip, but because of the leverage that we're able to do with borrowing on real estate, that compounds the return on our investment. Like if I put 5% or 20% down on a property that's going up 5% a year, and I only have 20% in, well, that entire property is going up 5% a year. So that gave me a 5x return on that because I only put 20% down. So I'm getting a 25% return on that investment. So I don't necessarily need to have those huge gains in order to still start to flirt with the same type of return that I'm getting on a tangible asset that I feel a little bit more comfortable with. But that doesn't mean that, I'm not here to tell you Bitcoin's bad or good or anything in between. I don't know, I stay very much in my lane, right? I'm very simplified as far as the asset class that we are involved in. I don't go out and try to be an expert on everything else, but because I understand what we do, the asset class that we have, I like the tangible aspect of it. I like to be able to use these properties. I like the stability of real estate. That's what keeps me in that game versus some of those other things that are maybe arguably more exciting for people, right? Yeah. They like the volatility, right? Yeah. There's a lot of different plays when you have a really volatile asset class. And it can be really exciting for people to get involved in. And there's people that are really smart at it. I don't claim to be one of them. And so, but for me, that's the reason why I like real estate. And one, it's my comfort zone, right?
Yeah. Well, and I also think too, if you're going to invest in something, make sure you do the due diligence to understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna lean into short-term rentals, get into a master class like Vodacy or whoever and learn about it, understand it so you know what you're investing in. It's the same with stocks. If you're going to invest in a stock or Bitcoin or anything, make sure you understand and know why you're going to do it. I think a lot of times people kind of jump on the bandwagon and say, hey, this stock's going up. I'm just going to, well, why'd you invest in it? I don't know. Somebody told me it was going up. I mean, I think that's where it gets a little scary, and understand what you're investing in and really do the research. So I think that's important. Yep. Okay. Second topic here, technology and short-term rentals. So as technology evolves a little bit, and as we get more technologically advanced in short-term rentals and different things, how do we make it easy as possible for our guests to, understand the technology that's in our short-term rentals? And I think more of, the elderly folks or the baby boomers and, all those people that are starting to get a little bit older. Technology, I think, is a lot easier for younger folks, for our kids, and they understand it, they get it, they play all the time. But, when you get smart TVs and some of these other things, is there a way to, make the guest, understand how to, use this stuff that's in some of these short-term rentals? Because it's going that way. And a lot of people are talking about making it as easy as possible.
Yeah. Well, the key there is make it as easy as possible for the guest, right? And whether it's, and it goes, this extends beyond just the technical things that are in our properties, like the smart TVs and the Bluetooth speakers and the thermostats and everything else that are all controlled via Wi-Fi, and everything is like, everything's connected, and you got these whole home systems that are, really technologically advanced. And even if I'm a technical person, if it's a new system for me, I need to be able to understand how to use it, and I don't want to go figure it all out, right? And so even like turning on TVs, turning on fans, turning on how do you watch live TV versus not? And it's being able to be very clear with your instructions. And how do you do that, right? There's a number of different ways. A lot of people are going to digital guidebooks. Well, digital guidebooks have an element of, how do I even use that, right? Do I have to download an app? Do I do this?
Scary.
And so any way that you can do to simplify the process. I just bought a Starlink, and I bought it for a while ago. And when I open the Starlink up, it's got literally the simplest picture instructions that anybody could walk through. I think I could give it to a 3-year-old that they could look at the pictures and do exactly what that's walking them through. It's a good example of just simplifying the setup, right? There's no explanation with words. There's nothing. It's just like, hey, if you want to watch live TV, I would have in my guidebook, live TV, click this button. Here's how you get the guide. You're there, right? And so it's being able to articulate how to use those things that are going to be common questions for people, and make it in the very beginning, make it a really easy way for them to consume it. Whether that's a physical guidebook, you need those in the houses. People are, the people that are going all digital. You get somebody that, our parents go in there and they're in their 70s and 80s, and they are like, I don't even know if I can. I mean, half of them, they can't even read their phone, right? They can't even see the damn phone, and so they need something that is simple. So you need multiple ways for people to tap into the information. And so I don't think the answer is just one way or the other, but however you're going to deliver that information, whether it's a physical guidebook at the house, whether it's digital guidebook, whether it's very simple instructions, when you send out pre-check-in and check-out instructions via email. I always tell people, don't try to fit everything on one email. You're better off sending multiple short emails with very specific things in that email, like one call to action or one instruction per email, whether it's the address, whether it's the code, whether it's how you're going to access the guidebook. Don't put it all together, because it can be overwhelming. And I think that it's not as like we always get the question of, somebody came in and I keep getting these questions on how to turn on the TV or watch the live TV. And I've got it spelled out in the guidebook, and I look at their instructions, and it's 3 pages of words and telling them how to do this. It's like, just take the Starlink approach. Go and take it. Even if you took a picture of click this button, and have a 3-step process to get the TV turned on and watching live TV. That's real easy for people to follow. Yeah. And so really, as you're thinking about that, think about how can I articulate it in the simplest, most concise way possible, and assume somebody can't even read, right? How am I going to do that? We do it through pictures. And multiple ways to deliver it.
Well, and I think too, as the owner of the property or as the property manager, make sure you get things that are very simplistic to use. I always think of the example when I'm in a hotel, and every hotel is different with their thermostat. And I always think, okay, on, fan on, fan off, fan auto.
Exactly.
Or temperature, either heat or cool. Right. And then you put the up arrow, the down arrow. It's super easy. And I've been in a lot of hotels or VRBOs where it's like, man, I can't even figure out, I don't know if it's on, and so be mindful of that when you're buying these things for your short-term rental, whether it's a fan in the bedroom and it literally just says, low, medium, high, on, off. I mean, those type of things, most people can figure that stuff out, but that helps the experience. What you don't want is a bad review.
Right.
And I guess that leads into my next question is, if you have a bad review, whether it's technology or something, what's the best strategy to get over a bad review? You're doing really well. You're a 4.9, you're a 5, you got all 5-star reviews. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, maybe it's not even warranted, but you get a low review, and maybe it's a 2 or 3 star. It's only 1, but that really hurts that number. What do you do? Are there strategies?
Yeah. You address it first and foremost. A lot of people feel like they get this bad review. You got a bad review for a reason. What was the reason? So let's make sure we address the reason so it doesn't happen again, and see if there's any way to have avoided that bad review, right? Sometimes there's not. There's people that give 4-star reviews, and I got a 4-star review once right when we were launching a property. It's 5 stars across the board. I had like 25 5-star reviews, and I get a 4-star review. And it was early on in the process that it brought my ranking from 5.0 to like 4.89, right? And because I got the 1 4-star review, I'm looking at what can I do about that review? And he says, awesome property, beautiful place. We love to definitely be back. We just don't give 5-star reviews. Like that's it. That was his reason for 4 instead of 5. Well, I never given a 5-star review. And I'm like, okay, well, not a lot I can do about that. So what you want to do, what you have to remember with reviews is people immediately scroll to the outlier reviews, which if your outlier is a low review, they're going to scroll down and say, why did you get that review, right? Yeah. When we're scrolling through and you see 65-star reviews, you don't read all 65-star reviews, but if there's a 2 or 3 mixed into those 5, you'll stop there.
Yeah.
And so you see what they say, but they also judge the host on how they respond to it. They're very much going to judge that host on exactly how did they respond to it. Were they professional? Did they take any responsibility for it? There's times where we screw up as hosts. Yeah. Something went wrong. Like something goes wrong and the guest leaves us a review. What happens even when something goes wrong, they might give you a 2-star review and they say, well, we came in here, it was July, it was 105 degrees out there and the AC went out, and we let the host know. I've seen this exact scenario. We let the host know. They were accommodating. They sent the repairman out as soon as possible. They got it fixed the next day, but we had a night it was 85 degrees in the house that first night. The host did give us a bit of a discount, but that was, we didn't like that, right? And they gave him a low review. And the host calls back or responds back and says, because the nice thing about when people are reading those, and then they see the response, they see what the host did. But even if they didn't say what the host did, the host responds, "Hey Dave, I'm so sorry that this happened. That is a really hot time of year. It's inexcusable that our AC went out. As soon as we found out it went out, we sent over somebody, and I'm really sorry you had to have that night stay that was hot. We tried to accommodate with a bit of a discount. Obviously, it's still detracted from your guest experience, and we want to make sure it doesn't happen again. Just so you guys are aware too, we had this all fixed and blah blah blah." Right. And they respond in a really positive way. Then somebody reading that review is going to say, "I probably wouldn't have given a 2-star. First of all, I probably would have given them a 5-star." Like in our minds, we're like, that you almost hold it against the guest that gave the bad review. When you see a host that responds like that, you're like, that was kind of a jerk move to leave that review. And so immediately you gain credit and some grace with that person that's looking at that. It doesn't help your actual ranking, right? Those reviews do hurt your rankings. And so the only way to get past that is to ultimately continue to deliver 5 stars, and it ultimately will just start to raise that back up. So it does happen. Once in a while, you get a bad review. Sometimes it's a warranted bad review. And if you deserved to have, or something went wrong and you didn't, because I could have also said, "I can't believe you gave me a 2-star review. We had somebody out there as soon as possible. There's nothing we could have done any different." Like I could have got kind of defensive about it instead of apologetic, and I could have answered it differently. Now all of a sudden, that guest that's thinking about staying in my property is like, I don't know, they seem pretty defensive, and instead of over the top apologetic. And so how you responded makes a big, big difference on how the next prospect and the next prospective guest coming to your property is going to judge you, and they do judge you, and they're going to read those. And so your responses are so important to how you respond, and you're way better off not getting defensive, even if it wasn't your fault. Even if you feel like it's not my fault, we say, "Hey, I'm so sorry. It was, for whatever reason, it was a big deal to their stay." And that's not what we want as a host. We want them to have an amazing stay, period. And we want them to know that, and other people to know that coming in.
Can a guest remove the post or change the post?
They can.
Does that ever happen?
They can. And it doesn't happen very often. They can retract them after a certain period of time, or before a certain period of time. You can appeal
depending on your communication with them, or it's like, "Hey, here's the situation." They're like, "Well, that makes a lot of sense. We're sorry. Maybe we shouldn't have given you the 4-star. We can give you a 5 or whatever." Right.
We're gonna update this. They're right. They did a good job or whatever. You can appeal to Airbnb and Vrbo and those platforms, but it's almost the chances of them taking or retracting your review, unless it's obviously an egregious, like, total misrepresentation of what happened, and you have really good proof about it. They're not removing it.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Let's jump to a question. We had an emailed question in to support@vodacy.com. One of our listeners actually, posed this question: "What is more important, the size and style of your short-term rental, or the location of your short-term rental?" We talk a lot about location. Do you think that's the most important part, or do you think, having this amazing property and style, and I know they go together, but if you're choosing one or the other, what do you choose?
Yeah, and they can, right? You could have it. They both are important. At the end of the day, proximity is probably the most important, right? Location is the easiest and most important. We are going to areas for certain things. We want to be close to what those profit drivers are, and location to certain things makes a difference. And it's that's not something we can change with design and experience and everything else, right? And so, and then on the other extreme is, you could be out in the middle of nowhere and your location is not as good, but you have this amazing property. What happens there is that has to be its own driver, its own, it has to be like its own little destination. If you get so far off that you're trying to get somebody there, you better have, and there are properties that do really, really well like that, that they become their own destination, right? And so overall, if you're picking one or the other, proximity to the major profit drivers and proximity to why people are coming in. Maybe it's, you're in a great proximity of national parks, but now you have a long range view, or you're by water. Those things make a difference. And so choosing one or the other, it's location and proximity.
Yeah. And I think too, if you're in a town like Nashville, And you're going in there because you want to go downtown and you want to have a good time. We got a little here. Let's have
I might need to
cheers. Let's have a cheers. You know
this might make it worse. Sorry, I'm kind of crying right here. So if you guys are watching, my eyes are watering.
I think you take a sip of that whiskey and then you're going to be feeling good. That thing coats. Yeah, that thing solves.
I didn't mean to interrupt the episode. Jeez, Louise.
I appreciate you getting so emotional about my comment. On, on
you guys send in questions. I just start, tears start running down my eyes. I start choking, and
Yeah. So what I was saying is, if you're going into Nashville and your whole goal is to go downtown to Broadway and hit the bars and hang out and stuff, you're going to want something close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily want this big, amazing place out, in the country 20, 30 minutes away because you're going to spend all your time down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, if you're going to be way off the beaten path, way far away from the profit drivers, you better be a destination that people want to stay at, right? You've got everything it needs. Like it's kind of its own destination. They're going to stay there. They're going to enjoy that. And it's its own place.
Yeah. Good. Well, good answer. Well, let's wrap up. I appreciate the insights today. Good Whiskey Wednesday. And, I like the outfit again, man.
Thanks, man. The old orange plaid. You guys, you'll have to go check us out on YouTube, and you can see the real tears running down my eyes right now, my cheeks, right? Hey, I've been battling a little bit of a cold. I know.
That's why we're so supportive of you and your leadership because you just battle right through. Yeah. You come in sick. You know what I mean? I
already told Jake. Jake brought this in last week, and we told Jake it was like his second week coming in here.
Yeah.
And we told Jake, you get us all sick, you're going to be done. We're not going to see you again.
Yeah.
And he got us sick, and so now we have a decision to make, Jake. So we have a decision to make.
We're not bringing him on camera until we decide what we're going to do.
Maybe he's on camera next week, maybe not. We'll see. All right, guys, listen, we appreciate your time. We know how valuable it is. We appreciate you spending it with us. So we're going to wrap up today. As a reminder, send those questions into support@vodacy.com. We'll make sure we answer those for you. And as you know, I've been offering as listeners of this podcast that same email. If you want to get on with a one-on-one strategy session with me, let me know, and we'll make sure that we set that up. Just let us know you're a podcast listener. You want a strategy session at support@vodacy.com. Yep. We'll open that up, send you my calendar link. So if you have more than 30 seconds, like it, review it, share it. Those things help us on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And the final, most important thing that we ask you guys at the end of every episode is pick that one thing you can do today. Start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, brother.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website?
Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit vodacy.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.